started. We'll have the prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father God, we thank you for your kindness in bringing us all together today. Though we may not know what this meeting holds, we know that you do. As we begin, Lord, help us to keep your word in mind. Lead us into conversations that are fruitful and enrich the lives of those who are here today. When we are undecided, please lead us in your wisdom. When our opinions may disagree, help us to remain respectful to one another. More than anything, Lord, would you help us both to seek your will and to pursue your glory through all that we say and do. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I call the meeting to order for agenda business. First item on the agenda is public comment.
This year we have Vivian Parsons, WV4.
You're on the agenda.
I think I'm actually on that.
And we have Wendy Madden.
Hi. I didn't have like a big comment. I just wanted to make sure you all were aware of the two projects that got funded in Upshur County. The Convention and Visitors Center, or not that, the event planning conference space that Robbie Morris was.
For Randolph County.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You're
I
fine.
say the
You
wrong
travel.
county. Okay, sorry.
I got you.
And then, the library.
Oh, the library, how much did the library get?
I think it was 2 million for an expansion project
Yeah.
through the congressionally directed spend projects. So I just wanna make sure that that made it the whole way back to you all.
Thank you.
And I do think though, is Peggy here, I don't think the animal shelter got funded, because the only agencies that have come through, I think that one was through agriculture, and agriculture was the one that was announced, and it wasn't on the list.
Okay.
So you'd have to apply again,
All right.
yeah.
I'll let Mr. Soler know that.
Okay.
His baby.
And not everything else has come out, like transportation, housing and urban development, which would have had EDA, like that one hasn't announced, and neither has, education, health and human services. So those usually have bigger budgets with more projects, but as soon as we find out, of course, I would call.
Thank you.
That's all.
Thank you. Anybody else, Sheriff?
No, sir.
All right, next item on the agenda is our minutes. We have, two sets of minutes. We have first one from our June 28th, meeting. June 28th.
Okay, I move that we approve the meeting minutes as submitted for the meeting held on June 28th, 2023 at 9:00 a.m.
All right. Motion on the floor is to approve the minutes from our June 28th meeting. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have, minutes from our July 6th meeting.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted for the meeting which was held on July 6th of 2023 at 1:30.
All right, so motion on the floor is to approve the minutes from our July the 6th meeting. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. All right, reports. Sheriff?
Yeah, I'll take a second here. I have activity report for the first 6 months of the year, from January 1 to June 30th. And, Sheriff's Office answered 2,964 calls in that time period, which was a, increase of 22% in our call answering volume. We generated 241 cases from that and, turned into 341 offenses, for those calls. That's up 35% for cases and 41% for the offenses. Misdemeanors were 268, that's up 48%. Felony offenses were 73, and that's up 22%. We made arrests, we arrested 74 individuals for 133 offenses. That's up 23% and 55% respectively on that. Drug arrests were 18, that's up 80%. Collisions, we worked 148, that's up 2%. Reportable were 75, where we made accident reports, And that was down 17%, and then private property exchanges, like fender benders and parking lots, things like that. That was, 73 of those, and that was up 33%. We made 607 traffic stops, that's up 5%. Kinda hard to pull cars over and run radar when you're busy running calls all over the county, taking care of that kind of stuff. So, we'll focus a little more on the traffic stops as call volume settles down a little bit. We wrote 146 citations for 177 violations, that's up 34 and 36% respectively. And we wrote 202 warnings, that's up 30%. So we still have we're not writing everybody hard tickets, we're warning people along the line with that too. Civil process attempts by law enforcement, not counting our process servers, were 92 attempts on those, and that's up 130%. There's some that just elude the process servers, and the deputies are out 24/7 so they can try them at different times and things like that to get them served. They executed 18 writs, up 6%, and miscellaneous, which is like assisting the dog ward and things like that, that we answered 74 of those, and that was up 222%.
And Ron's on the prowl.
Yeah, so we get called into some of those if they're gonna take animals and things like that, or we have to do an investigation on animal cruelty and things like that, so, those numbers are up. We made 37 transports, 23 of those were mental hygiene transports, and, that's up the 37's up 28%, and the mental hygiene part of was up 109%. And, our total activity with traffic stops, everything included, 3,571 events that we processed in 6 months. That's an 18% increase altogether, so, they are busy. My chief's even broke it down to busiest days and times, which you wouldn't imagine, but our busiest time of the week, everybody thinks it's a weekend, it's actually on Tuesday. We answered 653 calls on Tuesdays. Thursdays is the second, we answered 629 calls on Thursdays, and Wednesday, we answered 622 calls. That's number 3 in the line. The day of the week with the lowest call volume, Saturday. 373 times we answered calls on Saturdays. I guess people were busy, they're off, they're out camping, doing other things, and they don't get in trouble as much. Five busiest hours for call volumes. Number 1 is 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 3 o'clock. We answered 301 calls. 4 to 5 is the second, it's 288 calls. 10 to 11 and 3 to 4 turns out to be 254 calls. And then 11 to 12, 246, and 1 to 2, 242 calls. The 3 slowest hours, 2 in the morning to 3 in the morning, we answered 22 calls. 5 to 6, we answered 21 calls, and 4 to 5, we answered 19 calls.
Either they go to bed or they pass out.
They do kind of sleep or they pass out. That's the way we figured it too. So that's our numbers for the 6 months, and we'll keep after it.
6 months.
Been a busy 6 months.
Yes.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Brenda, do you have anything? All right. Correspondence. We have no correspondence. Announcements, our next meeting will be August the 3rd. And now we move on to items for discussion and action. First is consider approval of the general fund rollover from fiscal year 2023. Okay, we started our new fiscal year 2024 budget July the 1st. Because it runs July the 1st through the end of June next year. So we finished our 2023 budget last end of June 30th. And now it's time to report the rollover. Rollover is money that we had budgeted, we budgeted all the money, and that we had money that we didn't spend that now is going to roll over until next year's budget. And happy to announce that, again, we have, with the help of all the elected officials, because it takes Rob has a budget that he operates off of, Brenda has a budget, Phil has a budget, each Parker has a budget that they all work off of. And if they don't spend that money that we budgeted them for that fiscal year, then it becomes rollover for the next year. We're looking at a $2,284,336 rollover. And that is up from the year prior, in the fiscal year 2022, which was almost 1.5 million. So again, we are very watchful on what we spend and how we spend it, and take advantage of, from Senator Manchin's office spoke about the grants that we can get. We really focus, we have a full, almost a full-time grant writer for the county who goes out, continuously writes and tries to get us grant money, and so we don't have to use taxpayer money. So that has helped out tremendously on that. So again, we're very happy to say to report another hefty rollover for the county. And just some things that we did in 2023 that I just wanted to make sure that everybody's aware of, that we did spend money on. One of the major projects that we did for the county is the pool and splash pad project, which has had a very great success so far. We're purchased a building across the street. The old Smith and Jury Law Office will now become the prosecutor's office, and that was all done through a grant that we received. So that was no taxpayer money paying for that building. We got the third resource officer for, I think it was Elkins High School. We had 2, now we're doing 3. We gave, Harmon needed help with their water system, and that was over it was over $85,000 that we gave, to Harmon. Whitmer Water Association we give money to. Elkins High School Safe Graduation Project, we give $5,000 to them. We supported Boys and Girls State, sponsoring 3 boys, 3 girls. The senior center in Elkins needed help with their roof project. We gave them almost $31,000 for that. Purchased, I think, 6 new vehicles for the sheriff's office. Hello.
At least 60.
So those are some big things that the county has done. When we help out tremendously with our hotel motel tax that we collect on from people visiting hotels that are outside the city limits. Anytime you go, you pay your bill, you see a hotel motel tax. That tax comes to the county. We get half of that we can use, and the other half goes to the CDB downtown to help promote tourism for the county. But we give out to the Fireman's Parade, the Forest Festival. We sponsored the fireworks for the 4th of July, which was great this year. We give them $7,500 to pay for the fireworks. We sponsor the Christmas Parade, which was $8,000. We take that from Hotel Motel. We get the Special Olympics. We give the Arts Center. Hooked on Fishing, Not on Drugs. Our town July 4th activities, $5,000, like for the car show. Colton Days. We helped out in renovations of the 4-H camp. $40,000. Colton Days. Tigers Valley, they needed a new scoreboard. We gave them money for that. The Celtic Festival, which I think they're here, we gave them money last year, and I think they're back again today. Tigers Valley Baseball, they needed for a press box, we gave them $10,000 for that. Valley Soccer, we gave them $13,500. And then we gave $50,000 to the rec board to help finish their bathhouse project that they've been fighting for. And that's all about $193,000 that we gave out of roughly a lot of it, all, if not all of hotel motel tax. So a lot of rollover money, but we spend a lot of money, but we spend money wisely, and it helps to continue to roll over, because we consistently roll over about $2 million. And again, the year prior was only $1.5 million, so we brought back up to our over $2 million number. So I wanted to give an update on that. So do I have a motion to approve the rollover from fiscal year 2023 as presented?
Make a motion to approve the rollover from fiscal year 2023 as presented.
All right, this is a roll call vote because it's going to be a state budget revision. So Commissioner Kiesling, aye. Commissioner Seiler, he's not here, and Commissioner C.
Aye.
All right, so motion passes. All right, we have an update from West Virginia Court. Vivian.
Hi, how are you guys this afternoon?
How are you?
Thank you. Mr. Seiler.
And maybe Mr. Walker Smith, you might, be interested in some of the information. As you said, my name is Vivian Parsons. I'm with the West Virginia Communities Risk Pool. Those of you who have known me for a while know that my background is in county government. I spent about 30 years between the County Commissioners Association and the Association of Counties. Retired in 2019 and came over to work for the risk pool that we created while I was there. I wanted to bring tidings from the pool, say hello, and just talk a little bit about how we're doing and remind you of some of the resources that are available, and then above the coverage that you get. Certainly our coverage, I think, is second to none and would stand by that. When we created the pool back in 2007, our first priority was price stability, and we've really been able to work toward doing that. Price stability, the second was good customer service, and that's kind of where I come in. I want to make sure that you're still getting that good customer service if you have any problems. And to that end, I've put my card on each of the packets I handed out so that you can contact me. I'm boots on the ground here in Charleston, West Virginia. And third was tailoring our product to meet local government needs. Back in 2020, we opened our doors to municipalities. And so now that COVID has kind of let up on us, we have really started to pick up municipalities. The map that I brought you on the front there was May 1st of 2023. We've actually added several more. We're well over 90 municipalities, and I will tell you that the city of Elkins is a member as of July 1. So we're really excited about the growth that we're seeing. We still have 7 county commissioners who are a member of our board of directors, and we have added 2 municipal members because of the municipal participation. So we have 2 mayors on board. The annual meeting will be in the, I think it's the 3rd week of September again this year for the pool. It's always around the 3rd week of September, and it's always in Bridgeport. And so we invite you to come and be a part of that. You'll get notification, formal notification. That's where we elect our board members. They are on a rotating basis, and there's usually 2 board members up for re-election. And so, and we also have our CEO in at that time, Chris Carey. Some of you may have met Chris. He'll be there to say hello, and we have a short presentation on a timely topic. So would encourage you to be involved in that. So that's kind of my financial report, or a report on how the pool is doing. I brought a number of brochures with me, and I just want to remind you of a lot of the resources that are available to you. And let me say, anything that I mentioned, there is no cost. I know that no matter how much money is in local government, there's never enough. So my soapbox is kind of to local governments is use these resources that are free to you. The first couple of brochures I'll pass up. They're for your information, but they're your coverages and how to file a claim, and I know that you've all been doing that for several years. I'll move to the online member portal brochure. I wanted to make sure that the governing body knows that all of the information that's available to you at any time that you want it on your portal by logging in with password protected information. You can file your claims, of course, online, and you've been doing that. You can print reports of all the claims that you've had from the beginning of your time with us. You can set those parameters however you'd like. Some local governments like to print out an annual report and look at it just to see if there's any red flags in the kind of claims they've had, and maybe look to any kind of training or things that we can do proactively to address those things. You can also get to any individual claim. You can get to the finances of that claim. You can even get to the diary of the adjuster who's working with that claim and everything that happens behind that. So you actually have.
She takes care of that, you do that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wonderful, great, and.
She's our administrative assistant.
Oh, Brooke.
Yes.
Oh, it's been a while since we met in person, so, yeah, Brooke knows all about the online portal then. We talk on phone, but I don't always get to put names and faces together,
There she
so it's
is.
nice to do that. Thank you. And so, in those site tools, you also can see your schedules at any time. We've added that more recently. You can get to the schedules, the list of properties that you have, your vehicles that you have with us, your equipment, and you can see what the deductibles are, what we've valued them at. All of that is there for you to look at. And there's also a number of resources available online, and I'll talk a little bit more about them as we go through, so I'm going to skip that for now. I've included a new email reference guide. There's one thing that I would point out. We have a litigation email address, so if you would ever get, knock on wood that you don't, but you would ever get served with a suit, we would encourage you to send it to that litigation email. Randolph County suits, because there are timely filings that we have to make on your behalf. And so we would encourage you to use that. Property valuations, we continue to do those, anything over 75,000 and greater. And we have you on about a 5-year rotation. Whenever we come out and do that, the governing body will get a copy of that report that you'll sign off on. So if you have any questions or concerns about any of that, we can work all those out. Cyber risk coverage, you continue to have cyber risk coverage with us. We're very proud of that. To date, there are no sublimits and there are no exclusions on our cyber coverage. We're seeing that happen a lot in the public sector, but we have continued to hold the line, and there are no exclusions or sublimits, and there's no deductible if you happen to have a breach. If you do have a cyber breach, don't file that online, call us immediately. We have available to you at no expense to you a cyber coach. It's an attorney that we work with, and she does nothing but cyber related issues, and so she will walk you through the best way to protect yourself. So that's another resource that is available to you. We have a whole risk control services department. When you're in a pool, you're a part owner of the pool and the pool's assets. So of course you want to mitigate your own exposure, but you want everybody else in the pool to mitigate their exposure as well. When the pool does better, everybody in the pool does better. So we put a lot of time and effort into our training. I've included an employee training brochure for you. On the back of that lists a lot of the topics and things that are available. We do all the safety kind of things that you would imagine. We can come to you and do them, we can do them virtually, and I'll mention the video library that we have here in a second. But if you don't see what you're looking for on here, we do all the safety kind of stuff, but we also get into HR. Sexual harassment, cybersecurity training, and that's for the average employee who sits down at a computer, not your IT folks. So we do a lot of different driving training, bloodborne pathogen training for a lot of the maintenance crews who have to clean up, and in today's world there's a lot of things that they need to know about. So we do a lot of that stuff, again, everything free and can come to you. And one of the things that I mentioned, your sheriff is not in the room, but there's a brochure on law enforcement training. We put a lot of time and effort. We may have used you in the past for some of this, but we put a lot of time and effort into our law enforcement training program, because naturally that's going to be where a lot of your exposure is, just by the very nature of what law enforcement does. So on the back of it, you'll see our criteria for our law enforcement program. We know that officers are required to have continuing education. I think it's 16 hours every 2 years for your law enforcement deputies. And we work with Charleston and the law enforcement subcommittee who approves training for that to get ours approved for continuing education credits. So far we can provide up to 14 of the 16 hours that they're required. So there's a brochure in there with all that information, and I will tell you that the gentleman who does that training for us is a retired police officer. So we know that, you know, he understands what they face on a daily basis, and we think that holds a lot more credibility with the law enforcement community to have someone who's been there and knows what they go through. I mentioned a video library. You have this brochure, and it is called Safety Source. You can get to it from the online portal. It's over 1,000 videos that are there for your use. We subscribe, and we provide you our login and password on this handout that you can go in and you can search by key name, and it'll pull up everything that's available on that subject. It'll tell you the length of those presentations. Maybe you're looking for a 15-minute video or a 30-minute. And then when you find what you want, you use our login and password and download it, so it's there for your use. We want to make it as handy as possible to do as much training as possible and mitigate as much of your exposure as you can. Last thing that I'll mention, we also continue to have, and this has been around for a while, it used to be called TULIP. That's an acronym for something that I can never remember. So the name has changed, it's GatherGuard. GatherGuard is a third-party liability insurance, and it's available on our public-facing website. If you have county property, maybe it's a rec building, maybe it's county parks, and you have folks who use that for a one-time event. They're not a company, they don't have their own insurance, maybe it's a wedding reception, maybe it's a class reunion. You can guide them to GatherGuard. They can apply online and they can pay online. You're listed as a third party insured, and they have $1 million of insurance for the event, and it costs in the neighborhood of $100. So it's not run through the pool per se, but it's placed by the pool so that we can get a good price for your constituents. A real-time example is had a city who currently had an event in their city park, and it was a class reunion. They took them through the process, and it cost them $75 for the event, and they had $1 million worth of coverage, and the city was listed as a third party. So it's there. I want to remind you that it's there. It's another layer of protection, nothing that we require, but certainly just an added resource for you guys. And the very last page is just truth about pools. We had a lot of questions back when counties started going into the pools. We now are 50 of 55, so there's not as many questions from counties. But as we open the doors to municipalities, of course, then there's a lot of questions. And so we put together that brochure, and I throw it in just so that you have that available if you have any questions, if you're a newer commissioner, or you just wanna know exactly how the framework is set up and how it works. But that's all I have. Everything is going well, and we're glad to continue to have you guys in the program. Wanted to say hello. It's always good to see familiar faces. And if you have any questions for me, certainly if you ever have any problems with a claim, please contact me, reach out, and we'll.
I don't have any real questions. I just want to make a comment how if anytime we ever need anything, we can call, and it's always great to fast response, answers our questions. I mean, luckily, we don't have a lot,
Great.
but when we do, you're there to help, so I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Well, we want to keep it that way, and that's a major part of the role I play. So let me know if you run into any problems, if you have trouble getting somebody to answer a question or whatever. I may not have the answer, but I know where I can get it. So
We got your card now, it's going to the Brooke.
there you go.
Now, we've been in the
And
pool,
I'll
I
leave one
think,
with Brooke.
we've been in the pool over 10 years, and we're very satisfied with joining, so.
Yeah, wonderful.
He's our long-term commissioner, so he's our
Yeah.
history, he's our historian.
I know Chris well, yeah, for many years in the association, so it's good to see you.
You do.
And so, yeah, if you ever have any problems, just let me know. Thanks for giving me some time on your agenda, I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brooke, here's a set for you.
All right, next on the agenda is informational presentation and planning request from West Virginia Wild and Wonderful Celtic Festival. Mr. Ferguson? Is that right?
Yep.
Seems like we just had this.
Been a year.
Has it been a year?
No, that's not.
Thank you.
Just say Tom Fly.
And my name's Timothy Ferguson. I'm the president of the West Virginia Wild and Wonderful Celtic Festival and Highland Games Incorporated. I'm here to give an informational brief on last month's festival and beg for money for next year's festival. Sorry my brother couldn't attend today, but I am here today to give you an informational update on our recently held Celtic Festival and Highland Games and to request funding for 2024. Our first festival was a great success. We've been recognized by Governor Jim Justice as an official festival of the state of West Virginia. We had over 1,200 guests to attend our very first festival. We attracted a lot of guests from right here in Randolph County. We also brought a lot of guests from outside Randolph County and the state of West Virginia as well. We had guests from Florida, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Louisiana, Illinois. We even had 2 guests that were visiting the area from Tasmania that spent the day at our festival. Our Facebook page, our website, and our Instagram had hundreds and hundreds of great reviews about the event for days after the event. At the festival, I was approached by the president of the Celtic Festival Association from Maryland. He told me that he had been running a Celtic Festival in Maryland for 7 years. He said, quote, "This festival will be the premier Celtic festival in the state of West Virginia," unquote. Our hotel partners said that they booked several extra rooms for our festival guests. Both hotel partners were in the county, not city limits. Camp Pioneer staff was
Make sure
also,
that stays that way, okay?
Camp Pioneer staff was also pleased that they brought a lot of attention to their facility. All of our craft food and merchandise vendors were very happy, and all of them asked to be invited back for next year. The Highland Games athletes were also very happy. They told me that there will be twice as many competitors next year. One of our food vendors told me that he had sold over 300 pounds of pulled pork. He sold out by 5 o'clock. The festival wasn't over till 7. The Elkins High School band ran a food stand for us. They told me that it was one of the most successful fundraisers that they'd had in years, earning over $2,000. We invited the Randolph County Humane Society to set up a tent to try to get some of their pets adopted. Although none of the pets were adopted during the festival, they were able to sell some t-shirts and raise some funds for the Humane Society. There were a couple of people that were at the festival that stopped by the shelter later and did adopt pets. We also collected tips from one of our vendors who agreed to split them with the Humane Society, and we will be presenting them with a check for $100 right after this meeting. We're not without shortcomings though. We were able to make a few adjustments and keep things running smooth. The good thing is that all the problems that we did have can easily be fixed before next festival. We have learned a lot for our first year, and we're confident that this festival will grow and improve for next year. We are determined to make this the Celtic Festival for the state of West Virginia, premier Celtic Festival. With that being said, I want to thank you for your generous contribution for our first Celtic Festival and Highland Games. I know that there was some skepticism about the first event, but we thank you for putting your trust in us. Your donation really got things started for us. In fact, without your donation, we could not have had such a great festival. Now that we have shown our ability to organize and run this event, we believe that it will become even more popular in the future. We request that our festival be added to your website under the Special Events tab, along with the Forest Festival and the Randolph County Fair under the County Resources tab. We'd also love to become a bigger part of this community. We have goals of helping improve Camp Pioneer facilities, as well as some other community projects. We are interested in helping Camp Pioneer to build an amphitheater and possibly a ball field or two. We will be holding some fundraising events in the Randolph County area between festivals. We've already started working on next year's festival. Our next festival will include several more activities and events, including a longbow competition. We are debating on making it a 2-day event. We're also planning on bringing some world-class entertainment to our festival. We're guaranteed that next year's festival will be a lot bigger and better than our first one. A bigger and better festival, of course, means more expensive. We spent over $28,000 on last year's festival, and we only received a little over $9,000 in donations and sponsorships. In the end, we did make a small profit to go towards next year. After all the expenses were paid, we made a little over $5,000. We currently have a little over $3,700 in our budget. We're estimating that we will require at least $35,000 for our 2024 festival. We will be asking for sponsors and donations to help with some of the costs. We're also going to be requesting funding from the state fairs and festival budget. It's been difficult to find good donors and sponsors that are willing to give large donations. I'm sure that they will be more willing to support us once we get established. That's why we're requesting funding assistance. We would like to receive funding for $15,000 towards our 2024 festival. However, we will appreciate any amount that you feel is appropriate. Once again, I'd like to invite all the commissioners and their families to be VIP guests for our 2024 festival. Any questions?
Have you gone to, the CDB, local, train depot?
Yes.
Have they given you any funding?
They did last
They
year.
did?
I have not approached them for this year,
Uh-huh.
but I think they too were extremely impressed and pleased.
Uh-huh. So they're a good resource to pull from.
Right.
I'm trying to think who else that could help on it. I know probably not the city won't, but,
If I go to the city, they're gonna ask me to put people in hotels downtown.
and we won't do that.
Oh, and I'd like to.
They want you to have the thing in the city too, so.
I'd like to make sure that, Mr. Siler knows that there's no sheep injured in the sheep toss.
We'll make sure we'll tell him that.
He'll be happy to hear.
Yeah.
I know you were wanting 15, we were already, planned on, giving you what we had gave you last year, 5,000, from our hotel motel tax. Let us keep in contact with us throughout this year on how your fundraising goes, and if you're still short, come back to us, early next spring, to see how you stand. and see if we can't help out more.
Yeah, I'll know more about the West Virginia fairs. and
Yeah,
festivals.
that's a good one, that's a good one, to get to, a lot of the county, the fairs and festivals, they'll help sponsor, especially Jim Justice has recognized you now. So,
Yeah, nice plaque.
campaign year, and he's gonna dial out the money.
Nice plaque from Mr. Justice
Yeah,
and, big feather in their hat.
yeah.
But yeah, I noticed we were missing from your website, we are,
Well, we'll get that, and then also the CDD needs, Ann Beardsley and them, they make sure that they're on their tourism website as well.
we're here to stay as long as the, 4-H Camp Pioneer and the Parks and Rec keep working with us.
Mhm.
We'll be here. I don't.
Well, that's part of the county, so we'll make sure they keep working with you.
I appreciate it.
All right, we have a motion.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the fund request from the West Virginia Wild and Wonderful Celtic Festival in the amount of $5,000, which will be taken from hotel motel tax.
So motion on the floor is to approve the funding request for the West Virginia Wild and Wonderful Celtic Festival in the amount of $5,000 to be taken from hotel motel. Any further discussion? All in favor? Again, just keep in contact with us.
Will do.
All right. Next is informational presentation of funding request from the Randolph County Family Resource Network. Ms. Jones.
Yeah, I'm Dakota Jones. I'm the board president for the Randolph County Family Resource Network. And this is Kylie Smith. She's our executive director. We're here to ask for money, of course. We have a funding request. But first I'd like to tell you a couple of stories and then I'll let her run through our programs. The West Virginia State University Healthy Grandfamilies Program is part of our organization and is dedicated to helping grandparents who are raising their grandchildren. Over 35,000 children in the state of West Virginia are known to live with their grandparents as their primary custodian. This program helps provide support to local grandfamilies as they navigate through the difficulties of raising their grandchildren. One thing we were able to do this fiscal year is to provide tires to an elderly gentleman living in Harmon, I believe, who did not have a way to get back and forth to doctor's appointments and things like that. The other one I want to talk about is the resource guide we put together with housing opportunities, food banks, things like that for our residents. And through using those resources, we were able to help house someone who had been homeless for 15 years. And this is backed by community members. We have a board of 13 members currently, including Michael Parker. I'll let you go ahead and talk about.
I'm sorry, I can put up with Parker.
So my name is Kylie Smith. I'm the director at the Randolph County Family Resource Network. Since my hire in November, our programs have expanded exponentially despite the major loss of funds, most of which contributed to COVID relief. Our organization focused mostly on local economic development. We like to uplift healthy communities, mostly by providing Randolph County citizens with both direct and indirect services. So we are mostly well known for our community baby pantry, which provides local families with free diapers, wipes, formula, baby food on a monthly basis. Our pantry is a safe space that frequently serves low-income households, local foster families, and emergency DHHR cases. We have tried to expand the pantry throughout Randolph County, and we now have a record number of participants from Mill Creek, Montrose, Colton, and Harmon. At our most recent pantry, more than half of our participants lived outside of Elton city limits. Considering times are tough economically, we have identified a serious need for essential baby supplies within local families that do not qualify for government assistance. For this reason, we do not have an income basis for any of our projects or services. We are trying to expand our baby pantry, and we have become a resource staple for many Randolph County families. So for comparison of numbers, our April 2021 pantry served 6 children. Our April 2023 pantry served 49 children. So other events that we do in August, we will be hosting our National Kids Day event at the Phil Gaynor Center. It's a free, family-friendly event that provides children with both educational and recreational activities. Vendors include the Interactive Children's Museum, Beverly Elementary School's Book Mobile, and West Virginia's Big Brain Exhibit. This just gives kids something to do on the weekends. It's a safe and educational environment. We continue to partner with various organizations to provide direct services that benefit the food insecure families of Randolph County. We host a bi-monthly mobile food distribution with Mountaineer Food Bank at Camp Pioneer. In February, we served over 700 individuals, mostly senior citizens, with non-perishable goods. We also focus on substance use prevention efforts and recently became partners with West Virginia Perinatal Partnership on their Time Out for Me program. Time Out for Me is an educational support group for pregnant or postpartum women struggling with or at risk for substance abuse. We meet every Monday at Youth Health Family Support Center. Our main goal for this program is just to create a safe yet comfortable space for women in our community who have struggled with or been impacted by substance use disorder. As mentioned, we're also a main fiscal officer for the Healthy Grandfamilies program, which supports and educates Randolph County grandparents who have taken legal guardianship over their grandchildren. And we're a part of many other events within the community, such as sitting on the board of Hooked on Fishing, Not on Drugs, Pride in the Park, and also the community baby shower.
There you go.
So, we are asking for $10,000 to finish our budget for the year, but we are planning fundraising events as well.
When's your budget, what is your fiscal year for your budget?
So this fiscal year, we have a budget of around 63,000, I believe. Now, all of those are grants. So our main issue is we need general fund money for rent, utilities, insurance, things like that. Most of the grants that we have written are for individual projects like the baby pantry, so they can't be used for,
For specific use for?
yes.
So what's the time frame for your budget? What's the cycle? Is it a year?
Same as yours, actually.
Same as July the 1st?
Yes.
So you're supposed to be for your 24 budget?
Yes.
And you're located in the Third Ward Turn, is that right?
We are located in the Phil Gaynor Center.
Phil Gaynor Center?
Yes,
All right, so you're based out of there, that's where you do all your projects?
yes.
Okay. That was shocking to see how many grandparents
Yeah, it is.
that are responsible for
For
the.
these times anymore, that's.
All right, so we'll be glad to help, and, so we have a motion.
Okay, I'll make the motion to approve the funding request from the Randolph County Family Resource Network in the amount of $10,000 to be taken from courthouse contraction.
So motion on the floor is to approve the funding request from the Randolph County Family Resource Network in the amount of $10,000 to be taken from courthouse contractual. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Hope that helps you out.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
keep up the good work. All right, next item on the agenda is consider approval of the funding request regarding bus tours. We have a letter from Elkins Depot, regarding the Elkins Randolph County Tourism Convention Center Visitor Bureau's marketing budget for the fiscal year 23-24. We continue to increase tourism in Randolph County and recognize the need to target certain tourism entities in our efforts to bring more visitors for the future. The marketing strategies we have been using for the last 2 years have been extremely successful. Our goal is, in pursuit of this goal, I'm respectfully requesting an additional $3,000 for the Convention Centers and Business Bureau to be designated part as our marketing budget. This small increase will allow us to expand new target market that has potential to bring thousands of new individuals into Randolph County over the next 3 years. And that's from Ann. So I think it's a worthwhile project. They help bring a lot of the bus tours. That's what they need, the money to go to these conventions to market Randolph County, to get those buses to come to Randolph County. So she's asking for $3,000. So do I have a motion for that?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the funding request from the Elkins Depot Welcome Center, CVB, in the amount of $3,000, which we take from hotel motel tax.
All right, so motion on the floor is to approve the funding request from Ian Beardsley from the Elkins Depot Welcome Center in the amount of $3,000 to be taken from our hotel motel line. Again, that's a tax that we collect off the people that stay in hotel motels outside the city, and we can use this for this type of project. So we have a motion, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so motion carries. Next item on the agenda is consider a funding request from Tigers Valley Fire Company. Do we have anybody here for that? All right, we have two. Actually, we'll just see if we can do them together, but I'll do them separately. Tigers Valley Fire Company and Huttonsville Mill Creek Volunteer Fire Department are both requesting funding for, are you here?
I'm here with Huntsville, yes.
All right, well, let's do you first then. You wanna speak to that?
I can.
Yep. What you're looking for.
My name's Mike Ball. I'm obviously with Huntsville Mill Creek Volunteer Fire Company. We're here today to request some funding also. NFPA guidelines dictate how.
Now, what
long-
is that? What's?
NFPA, National Fire Protection Association,
Okay,
dictate how long we can use our gear.
okay,
Whether it be turnout gear, air packs, anything else. Last year, we spent right at just under $80,000 in new turnout gear for everyone. This year, in September of 2023, this year, our air packs all expire. We will have to replace all of them. We are looking at purchasing 10 new Scott air packs with air cylinders, 10 extra air cylinders, and 22 masks. NFPA also dictates that we should have a mask for each person on the fire department. So this year, we're looking at $94,362 in air packs to outfit us. So we're here today to ask for assistance with funding, we're requesting $47,181, half of it.
okay. We have yours, and then we have the same thing from Tigers Valley. We've had the same thing from Colton.
Really?
Has come to us about before. They were actually the first ones that come to us about it. And, what we had done then was we gave them $14,900. I think it was enough to buy 2 masks. So what we were wanting to do, because we figured we have all the companies will be coming to us about it. So, we wanted to be fair to each one of them, so we're giving $14,900 to each, entity.
Okay.
All right, so do we have a motion to approve? Let's do Huttonsville's first.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve funding request from Huntsville Mill Creek Volunteer Fire Department in the amount of $14,900, which will be taken from courthouse contractual.
All right, so motion on the first one is, one of the item G, is to approve the funding request from Huntsville Mill Creek Volunteer Fire Department in the amount of $14,900 to be taken from courthouse contractual. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. And then we have the Tigers Valley one, so you wanna have a motion for it?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the funding request from Tyrus Valley Fire Company in the amount of $14,900, which will also be taken from courthouse contractual.
All right, so motion on the floor is to approve the funding request from Tigers Valley Fire Company in the amount of $14,900 to be taken from courthouse contractual. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So we're trying to be fair to all the equally.
I already beat you to the punch.
I hear you.
Yeah, you should've been here first, let me pick up.
Well, I understand, but appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is consider funding request from the town of Harmon. Do we have anybody from Harmon?
Right here, sir. Hello, everybody. My name is Erasmo Rizzo. I work for a company called CEC. We're representing the town of Harmon. We help them with their utilities, utility improvements, any kind of, items they may need, we'll assist with that. As you mentioned, the town of Harmon has already come up for funds. They're not for sewer funds. As you know, small towns and communities need assistance on a regular basis. They have to operate just like Elkin does, a big city, on a different type of budget. They came for water, the sewer has a minor issue. So essentially, small communities such as Harmon are always struggling, always on a shoestring budget to accomplish their mission, and that's to serve the residents. There has been, obviously, a significant amount of impact when they start raising utility rates, and that's what they have to contend with on a yearly basis to kind of toe the line of how much to raise funds, how much to raise tariffs for the local residents, and they try to keep that, away beat it away as long as possible. At this point, the funding I'm requesting is for an old project. In 2019, when the flooding occurred, a significant amount of impact happened to the town of Harmon. FEMA stepped up, they provided some funds. The project went throughout, no significant issues. Right at the end, communication, telemetry, and items like that needed to be incorporated in order to communicate properly with the equipment. That constituted a change order. FEMA stepped up, they provided 75% of that funds, and the remaining funds had to be paid by the town of Harmon. Well, we're talking about completion date of March 2021. Here we are, 2023, 2.5 years approximately later. We can't close that project out without the remaining funds to be paid in full to the contractor. So that's the funding request for $3,100 in order to close out this project so they can continue to fulfill their mission at the town of Harmon.
Okay. Yeah, we're happy to help out Harmon anytime that we can. A lot of good people over there, and I know that flood was devastating. I remember that was like one of the
Is
first.
that part of the reason was the flooding that caused that, or?
That was the sole reason that
That's
caused that.
all.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're happy to help out Harmon. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the funding request from the town of Harmon in the amount of $3,100 to be taken from the courthouse contract.
So motion on the floor is to approve the funding request from the town of Harmon in the amount of $3,100 to be taken from courthouse contractual. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much on behalf of the
Tell
town.
Mr. Teeter we said hello.
Will do, thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is consider funding request from Beverly Days. Anybody here from Beverly Days? All right, we have a letter from Beverly Days.
Kim in here.
All right, Beverly Fire Department will soon be holding our annual Beverly Firemen's Festival. This year festivities will begin on Saturday, July 22nd, and conclude on Saturday, July 29th. We're asking for donations or sponsorships for these events. This year's events include a cornhole tournament, outdoor movie night, pet show, along with ice cream social, inflatable games, parade, numerous nights of music and entertainment, and several other activities. We ask for these donations and sponsorships to allow us to offer these activities free to the public. Thank you for your help and support of our organization, and if we could ever be of assistance, please don't hesitate to call. This year they were, I think last year we gave them $2,500. This year they're asking for $5,000. Again, as like the gentleman just said, Beverly's not as big as the city of Elkins and don't have the tax base or revenue to fund all these projects. And just like Harmon, we're happy to help cities outside we are happy to help Elkins, but cities outside throughout the county. And we will help them with their Beverly Fire Department parade, so.
Is the Ox Race next week too? It's usually
For
the
4-H?
week- Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's coming
So
up.
it's usually with the.
No, not same time, yeah.
Beverly.
So motion to help out, town of Beverly and Beverly Days?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the funding request from the Beverly Volunteer Fire Department in the amount of $5,000, which will be taken from hotel motel tax.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the funding request for the Beverly Volunteer Fire Department in the amount of $5,000 to be taken from hotel motel in support of their Beverly Days. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, I think we gave all the money away we're gonna give away today. I think. Maybe not. Next item on the agenda is, consider approval of the agreement with Randolph County Board of Education regarding our pro officer program. Sheriff, would you like to speak to it?
Yeah, real quick, this is, the program we started, with, Rocky Heb and, Danny Pennington, provides, pro officers for Taggart Valley High School and for Elkins Middle School. We also have a third officer at Elkins High. He's on a different grant cycle than what these two are, so this would, get us our grant application prepared and ready to go. And, the signature is for the board to have the agreement with them as how we do this. We send them a bill, for the hours, and then they reimburse the county for their portion of the funding, and so that's what this is all about.
Basically covers their wages, is that what it is?
Yes,
And we supply them with the equipment, cruiser.
correct, and what the grant don't pay, the Board of Education picks up. So we've got quite of an agreement with them that's, pretty sweet, honestly.
And it's been a very successful program.
Yes, yes,
Now you got a third one.
yes.
So that's-
Yes, those guys are very, very busy. I can show activity for those guys. You'd be surprised just, what investigations they're working through.
Hear what the kids go through.
I think it's great to address schools and kids.
All right, do you have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with the Randolph County Board of Education for the pro officers as presented.
So motion on the floor is to approve the agreement with the Randolph County Board of Education for the pro officer as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, next item on the agenda is consider approval of the certificate of substantial completion for the pool and splash pad project. This is just a signature needed. A list of the completed items are as follows, and it's everything that we have done so far for the pool. And there's just one bill that'll still be outstanding until, all, outstanding punch list items are completed. So just, do we have a motion to approve the certificate of substantial completion for the pool splash pad project?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the certificate of substantial completion for the pool / splash pad project as presented.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the certificate of substantial completion for the pool splash pad project as presented for discussion. All in favor? Aye. And, I spoke with, Stanley Teets and, Mr. Jeff Pritt, up there, and, cause they're the ones that, county owns the pool, but the Elks run the pool, and they're gonna be coming to present to us, after Labor Day, all, how much they've done up there, and cause we're tracking through their POS system, where everybody's coming from, visitors from outside the county and such, numbers, how many, what their highest day was, they're booked like, I think every day this month and next month for, parties after hours, so.
How long do they plan on keeping open this year? Just
Till Labor Day, and, cause the lifeguards go back to school.
Oh, okay.
But the splash pad can remain open, they can close off the pool, and the splash pad can remain open, through the hours, and it's just the kids go up and touch the button to activate the splash pad, but it doesn't require a lifeguard because there's no standing water. But yeah, the high school kids, the college kids that are the lifeguards and that run the, concession stand will be going back to school, so we have it open through Labor Day, and then after that, the splash pad can remain open on nice days by just touching the start button.
Very good.
Alright, so, did I make a motion for that already?
Yeah.
Alright, we already approved it. Alright, so next item on the agenda is consider approval of the road name change. We have a road name change. Current road is Bright Drive, and, they would like it to go to, Jack Johnson Lane.
Jack Johnson Lane.
Is that right, Jack Johnson?
Jack Johnson Lane, yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
Okay, where's this at?
This is out off of Grass Lake Road, out in the Montrose area. Was contacted by Nanette Trammell on the day that the signing contractor was out there posting the sign for Bright Drive. She approached his, workers, who respectively did not, converse with her and referred her to his boss, who referred her to me. So on the 10th, she called my office, and she advises that from the start 10 years ago, she's unsure who assigned Bright Drive to their road or driveway. Mrs. Trammell advised that she spoke with someone 10 years ago who told her that she had to wait for 3 years in order to submit a road name change. To my knowledge, that's not correct. The first that I've heard of this was, of course, the day that they were there and put the sign in for Bright Drive. And she advised that her road has always been recognized as Jack Johnson Lane, and the post office also recognizes this, and the mail delivery person also recognizes this. So I advised her that she would have to fill out a request for a road name change, and because of the sign, Bright Drive had been ordered and paid for and installed by the county, she would be responsible for the cost of the sign for Jack Johnson Lane. She was not happy with that, as she began to tell me that she has been using her own sign for the last 8 to 10 years, and it is there. Director Fox and I have no problem with her continuing to use this sign. I also contacted the Montrose Post Office and spoke with the postmaster, who advised that the road name is registered, and they have been delivering mail for years, and it is Jack Johnson Lane. The road name will only require a change on the county master list and in the mapping computer for emergency responders. No numerics will change, there won't have to be any adjustments in that area. So we are requesting that the change be granted from Bright Drive to Jack Johnson Lane, and the continued usage of her sign at that location.
Okay.
If that makes them happy, I have no problem with it whatsoever.
Is she the only one who lives on that lane?
There are 3 houses on that lane. Her mother's house is on that lane. She is in control of that house now. Her mother has passed away. There's another gentleman on the lane. He also agreed that, to the switch of Jack Johnson Lane.
Okay. So do we have a motion to approve the road name change as presented?
Okay, I'll I'll make a motion to approve the road name change as presented.
Motion on the floor is to approve the road name change as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Very good. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is to consider approval of new hires for the court security.
Yes, sir, as you gentlemen are well aware, we have got, our magnetometers delivered that we got through a grant to, secure our courthouses, our master court and our family court. And with that, we have to man those, magnetometers, as they're installed. So, we advertised for 2 court security positions, full-time, and you guys granted that, so we have went through the process, and I'm requesting the approval to hire Amanda Tomey as a full-time benefited probationary court security officer. If approved, her beginning probation salary will be $27,976 annually, which is $13.45 an hour. After a 90-day probation period, her salary will be adjusted to $29,369.60 an hour, or annually, and that's $14.12 per hour. Ms. Tomey is currently employed at Pioneer Insurance Agency. She is also previously employed at the Tiger Valley Regional Jail as a correctional officer. She is currently a resident of Elkins area, Randolph County. A background investigation was completed by our office, and she successfully passed that background check. Ms. Tomey is available to begin work with the Sheriff's Office after submitting a notice with her current employer. You wanna vote on that one independently?
Yeah, we'll do this one first, okay. I'll make a motion to approve the hire of Amanda Tomey as full-time court security officer. This would be a fully benefited position with a starting pay of $13.45 per hour and a 90-day probationary period.
All right, so motion on the floor is to approve the hire of Amanda Tomey as a full-time court security officer, a fully benefited position with a starting pay of $13.45 per hour and a 90-day probationary period. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next, I have, a request to approve the hire of James Lindsay as a full-time benefited probationary court security officer. If approved, his beginning probationary salary would be $27,976 annually, $13.45 an hour. Same as the other, it would, after 90 days, it would go up to $29,369.60, $14.12 per hour. Mr. Lindsay is retired from the Armed Forces. He's currently employed with the Randolph County Board of Education as a bus operator. He also previously served as a volunteer with the Elkins Fire Department. He's a current resident of Elkins area. Background investigation was completed by our office, and he successfully passed that. He's available to begin work with the Sheriff's Office after submitting a notice to his current employer. If they didn't know, they do now.
Yeah. DJ, keep that out of
It's out there. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the hire of James Lindsay as a full-time court security officer. And this will be a fully benefited position with starting pay of $13.45 per hour and a 90-day probationary period.
So motion on the floor is to approve the hire of James Lindsay as a full-time court security officer, fully benefited position, starting pay of $13.45 an hour, 90-day probationary period. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Next item on the agenda is consider approval of new hires for law enforcement.
Yes, sir, thank you. We've, had a current law enforcement list, for deputy sheriff. We lost, Deputy Wolf, 2-3 months ago, and we've been through the, background investigation process and all the things you have to do to get these guys to come to the point to where they're accepted by a police academy. We have, pulled this down to two guys. Wolf, we're replacing him, and with your approval, we would hire Connor Waldron as a full-time benefited, uncertified probationary deputy sheriff. If approved, Mr. Waldron's beginning uncertified salary will be $42,000 per year, or $20.19 per hour. Mr. Waldron is currently serving with the West Virginia National Guard, as well as the Seneca Rocks Volunteer Fire Department and the Pendleton County Emergency Rescue. He is currently employed by T&K Markets as a sales associate. Connor is a resident of the One-Go area in Pendleton County, residing with close proximity to Randolph County. An extensive background investigation was completed by our office, which he successfully passed. Mr. Waldron is available to begin work with the sheriff's office after submitting a notice with his current employer, and he, with your approval, is registered in an August class at Fairmont with their police academy, to start in early August, if approved by you guys.
These two both come up, you have to have these two civil service.
Yeah, it's all civil service, and they have to, we've went through that whole process,
Okay.
and they'll come off our list, and then, go to the academy.
All right, so let's do Connor Waldron first.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the hire of Connor Walton as an uncertified deputy sheriff. This is a fully benefited position with a salary of $42,000 yearly and a 90-day probationary period.
All right, so motion on the floor is to approve the hire of Connor Waldron as an uncertified deputy sheriff, fully benefited position, salary of $42,000 or $20.19 per hour, and a 90-day probationary period. Any further discussion? All in favor? He replaces,
Jim Wolf.
all right, so who's next?
Next one would be, our position where we took Ethan Carr and put him in Elkins High School as a pro officer. This is our patrol, spot that we took him from to do that. You guys budgeted that in for me this year. So I would request the approval to hire Alexander Burge as a full-time benefited uncertified probationary, deputy sheriff. If approved, his uncertified salary would be $42,000 annually or $20.19 per hour. Mr. Burge is currently employed by Davis Electric Services, as an electrician assistant. He is a current resident of Elkins area of Randolph County. Extensive background investigation was completed, in which he, successfully passed. He's available to begin work after submitting a notice with his employer. His father is a sergeant with the state police, I think it's in the kid's blood. This is what he wants to do, so, we'll be glad to have him if you guys will approve it.
All right. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the hire of Alexander Burge as an uncertified deputy sheriff. This is a fully benefited position with a salary of $42,000 or $20.19 per hour, and also have a 90-day probationary period.
So motion on the floor is to approve the hire of Alexander Burge as an uncertified deputy sheriff, fully benefited position, salary of $42,000 a year or $20.19 per hour, 90-day probationary period. Any further discussion?
He will have a 1-year probationary period according to civil service, but once he completes the academy, his salary would be adjusted to certified salary, but
Okay.
he is a 1-year probationary.
How about the other guy?
They're both 1 year.
All right, so it's here.
1 year for the law enforcement.
All right, so we'll need to amend that motion. So make a motion, we've had a motion to approve the hire of Alexander Burge as an uncertified deputy sheriff, fully benefited position, salary $42,000 or $1,000 a year or $20.19 with a 1-year probationary period. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. That replaces who, Ethan?
That would be Ethan's replacement.
All right, so then on the motion for Connor Waldron, then change that from 90-day to 1-year probationary period?
Yep.
All right. Next item on the agenda is consider approval of reappointments to the Randolph County Ambulance Authority. We have a letter from Mr. Kirk Gaynor. The following Randolph County Ambulance Authority council members' terms are due to expire on June 2023. These individuals have expressed an interest in serving on the board for an additional term of 3 years, beginning July the 1st, running through June 30th of 2026. David Bobbs, David Crawford, Ray Lamora, Mike Mullins, James Rossi, Stanley Teets, Belinda Toms, and Marlene Yorkie. They had a Dr. Ernest Flores who was dismissed from the board for lack of attendance. If there's no exceptions from the commissioners, we ask that you reappoint these individuals, members, to the the authority council, again for a 3-year term. So we have a motion to approve the reappointments of those listed.
Sure. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the reappointments and appointments to the Randolph County Ambulance Authority of David Bobbs, David Crawford, Ray Lamore, Mike Mullins, James Rossi, Stanley Teets, Belinda Toms, and Marlene Yorkie. And appoint them in a term beginning July 1st, 2023, and then June 30th, 2026.
All right, so motion on the floor is to approve reappointments of, as listed, to the Randolph County Ambulance Authority beginning immediately and ending June 30th, 2026. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, next item on the agenda is consider approval of the contract for fiscal year 2024 with our youth engagement grant. This grant is the grant, that will pay for our second mural at the pool. So again, Peggy got us, money from the Department of Arts and Culture and History, out of Charleston, for an amount of $4,455. It's we're having if you haven't seen the murals that's on the bathhouse at the pool, the pump house will now be painted. We have money now to paint the pump house. So with approval of this, we'll have money for that.
She does a good job.
She does a wonderful job.
Yes.
All right, so the motion to approve that, grant as submitted.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the grant for youth engagement grant as presented.
All right.
Fiscal year 2024.
All right, so make a motion you made a motion to approve the contract for the fiscal year 2024 youth engagement grant. And it's an amount of $4,455, and it goes towards the cost of our mural painting on the pump house at the pool. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, next item on the agenda is consider approval of Claytor Enterprises LLC to prepare annual financial statement. Miss Brenda.
Yes, Mary Ann Clater contacted me and asked me if we would be interested in have her prepare the financial statement again this year, like she did last year. And I told her that would be fine with me, I just need to get your approval for it. It's a flat fee of $5,000 to prepare it. And here's her letter if you like.
You said they done it, she did it last
She
year.
did it last year, yes.
And you're happy?
You're happy, yeah, you're happy.
She was a little bit late getting it done, but every person that I've got to do it
Always
has,
late.
yeah. And I don't know why, but we give them everything
I know
they
you
need, but it's just a
Always
struggle
had
getting it
problems with
done.
that.
Yeah.
All right, so do we have a motion to approve Claytor Enterprises to perform our annual financial statement?
Make a motion to approve Claytor Enterprises LLC to perform the annual financial statement.
All right, so motion on the floor is to approve the Claytor Enterprises LLC to perform our annual financial statement. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next item is consider approval of capital assets policy from Claytor Enterprises LLC. Brenda?
This is something that she told us last year that we needed to have when she was preparing the financial statement, was this capital assets policy, and she's filled it out and put in the amounts and everything, if you wanna review that. Kathy looked it over and said it looks good to her, from what she does with the budget.
This was something recommended by the auditors too, is that
Yeah,
correct?
she said that, I forget her name, Kara, that's something that she was looking for also.
I try to keep everybody happy.
Especially the auditors.
Yes.
All right, so do I have a motion to approve the capital asset policy as presented?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the capital assets policy as presented.
All right, so motion on the floor is to approve the capital asset policy that was been presented by Claytor Enterprises LLC. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next item on the agenda is consider approval removal of personal representative on the estate of Josephine Wingfield.
Can we do DeSori first? It might be a little more straightforward.
You go right ahead.
Here's the report on that, sorry.
On the estate of DeSori, the personal representative filed a properly formatted and what appears to me to be a correct final report of settlement. Thereafter, her brother filed a claim or an objection to this final settlement, essentially saying that before he had died, the decedent had moved had changed the survivorship beneficiaries on some accounts at the bank. And after reviewing that, what they wanted was they essentially want to litigate that in front of the fiduciary commissioner, the county commission. After reviewing that and looking at the West Virginia Constitution, the jurisdiction of the county commission is to probate matters. All of those accounts are non-probate accounts. They certainly have a remedy. They can go to circuit court, but I don't think that the county commission or the fiduciary commissioner has jurisdiction, to hear arguments about what are essentially contracts with the bank, that were changed before he died. They can do that somewhere else, so I've recommended that the, objection be overruled, or, the claim be set aside and they be allowed to close. And if they have any issue with that, they can certainly appeal the county commission's decision to circuit court, which puts them exactly where they would be if they filed in circuit court to begin with.
We haven't heard any of those, that before, have we? That he just-
No, we haven't.
And this was item T, letter T, right?
Yeah, this is the very last one, disorder.
Okay.
I don't think anybody's here, this is the personal representative, Mrs. Mueller, but I don't think anybody else is here on it.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve the report.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the report and recommendation by the fiduciary commissioner on the estate of Daniel Peter DeSory as presented.
So motion on the floor is to approve the report and recommendation by the fiduciary commission on the state of Daniel Peter Sorry as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, so then we'll go back to S, consider approval removal of personal representative from the state of Josephine Wingfield.
You may recall, we were here on this one, I filed a,
Got a copy of the minutes where what was said.
I filed a notice of unprogressed estate on this back in January. I can do that twice a year, January and the end of June. Essentially, this estate dates all the way back to 2014, but the nuts and bolts of it are that there were some assets in the estate, namely a house, but the hospital had filed a substantial medical bill claim against the estate. I think it's about $18,000. We were here in April. At that time, the commission wanted to give the personal representative 60 days to see if they could work that out with the hospital. I talked to the hospital on Tuesday. Apparently, it's all still the same as it was. I want to be clear on this, that I feel like it's my obligation to report these estates when they aren't moving along, but I don't, if the county commission wants to push this out or do something else, that's your power. It's just that when you get in these situations where you have, on one hand, you have a debt, and on the other hand, you have no liquid assets, there has to be some plan to move it forward, or else it'll just sit like that forever. So, I suppose my original, petition to remove the executrix for, unprogressed or, and I know they're here, and she probably has something she wants to say too, but, it's my petition, or my motion would stand, understanding that the hospital's gonna have to be paid, or they're gonna have to release their claim before this estate is closed, and it's been pending since 2014, the hospital's claim's been pending since 2020. I'd just like to see this move along so we can all get it taken care of.
First of all, I had spoken with the hospital this, few days ago. We went down, me and my husband went down to discuss the matters, to find out if there was any type of way that I could acquire the debt myself and to make payments on it every month per se, in order for me to be able to somehow to get it released to where at least Mr. Wallace could at least close the estate, get a release of some kind. And, they didn't really say no, but they didn't really say yes either. They said that they was gonna speak with Mr. Wallace, before today, cause I told him we had to come today. And I called her this morning actually, and asked her if they had called and spoke to Mr. Wallace about it. And she said yes, but then she really didn't say if there was any type of, what was, discussed at all. But she said whenever we leave here, if we wanted to call them or come down there and to bring the supervisor down there, I don't know if they're willing to. I just basically begged them to please work with me. I mean, this is our home. My grandchildren are living with me now. My other children are still living with me. We don't wanna lose our home. And, but, I understand Mr. Wallace's position fully, I do. But there's no other way that we can find out. We don't wanna sell our house, we don't want our house being sold up underneath us. I mean, we've done a lot of work with it, and like I said, we don't have any place to go. But we've been making the mortgage for 10 years, you know, and this is all over because oversight on the beginning of paying the, $300 fee. But actually, then again, we were not aware of this debt, cause they forgave like half of it. And then they filed and claimed for us to pay $18,000 after because we were under the understanding that the estate was closed with Mr. Wells, cause we had finished up with him. And then they came back, and when he, ran it through, to the paper, that's when they tacked that on. And we were totally, completely unaware of that in the first place, cause we thought we were all finished. And well, we weren't. So we don't have $18,000 to just write a check and, pay for it. I mean, I just basically begged them, I'm willing to pay monthly. And then she asked me if I had been paying at all, and I'm like, well, no. I wasn't sure what step to take or which direction to go first, because we've talked to some relatives and stuff like that. We can't refinance. There's no way we can afford 2 mortgages. And my family, members, I do have siblings and stuff, they don't have that kind of money. But I'm willing to pay a monthly payments to them, if they'll just work with me, like a promise pay thing. But they said that she couldn't do that with the estate, and I said, well, no, I wanted to acquire it myself. It's my mother, I mean, if that's what I have to do, that's what I have to do to keep our home. And I told her I'd be willing to pay at least $500 to $600 a month, because I wanna get it taken care of, and I know we've been a pain, Mr. Wallace I do apologize to Mr. Wallace, but he's been more than generous on allotting time to what he has to us. I mean, more than generous. But I'm kind of like stuck right here and right now, and I don't know what they're gonna decide to work with me with this, and I don't understand why they can't allow that. Either way, they're gonna get their money, basically use the house as collateral per se, if some unforeseen reasons why I wouldn't be able to pay per se, which I know I would, but and they'd still, take the house. But please allow me to try to at least keep my home. That's what I begged them. I was begging them.
Did they call you?
I called them.
I called them on Tuesday and talked to them.
That's when I was down there. Yeah, we were down there again.
There apparently has been no resolution. I'm not unsympathetic to the Evixes. I appreciate the fact that they have a house, they're living in it, and this debt is not gonna completely consume the value of it. In other words, I think the house is worth more than $18,000.
Well, we still owe the bank $100,000 yet.
My only issue is, we started in January, regardless of the past history, we're starting January, we're in the second half of July now, and there's still not a plan. And whatever the circumstance is, whether you remove her and the sheriff takes over and sells the house or whatever, I agree the hospital's gonna get their money. I don't care what you do, but there has to be a plan, and this coming back in here every couple months and say, well, I gotta talk to this person, and I haven't talked to that person, and they were supposed to talk to this person, that's a waste of everybody's time. There's gotta be a plan, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna have this schedule, and that gets it off your plate, gets off my plate, they can do whatever they gotta do, and we can all go about our business, because this is.
Kicking the can down the road.
Huh?
Kicking the can
It
down the road.
is,
that's right.
and I'm starting to get very, frustrated and upset, and
Well,
I'm willing to pay
I
them.
feel what you're trying to do, and we gave you 60 days last time to try to get
Yeah.
it settled. And I understand it's your house and everything, but we've got to, like he said, we've got to get it settled.
right, that's why I suggested to acquire the debt myself and to pay the debt.
Mhm.
And they didn't give me a really straight answer, basically, as of today, when I called her, but she said to stop back in after we left here.
Mhm.
So I said that we would.
Mhm.
So I don't know what they're gonna tell me.
Well, what I am suggesting, and if Siler see, will go along with me. We are not gonna kick the can down the road anymore.
Right.
You have until our next meeting, August the 3rd, to come in here and say you have reached an agreement with the hospital. And if there's still no agreement with the hospital, we will go with the fiduciary commissioner's recommendation, and the sheriff will take it over.
That's fair.
All right, so we gave you 60 days, and we're gonna give you until our next meeting on August the 3rd at 1:30. So don't wait until that Monday or Tuesday.
No,
before
no,
the
no,
meeting.
we contacted her before that too, but she never called me back like she said she would do, and then she told me like,
But-
after we left there, she was gonna call me back, so
Like,
I didn't meet.
next time you come
Yeah.
here,
I
either you
guess you
have,
need to get the
either you have an arrangement with the
Yeah.
hospital, or you do not have an arrangement with the hospital.
Right,
And we will vote on it then,
okay,
all right?
fair enough.
So we have do have a motion to extend this one more time until our next meeting on August the 3rd.
Yeah, I make a motion to extend our decision on this matter until August the 3rd meeting.
All right, so we have a motion on the estate of Josephine Winfield. We are going to extend it one last time until our August the 3rd meeting, where we will come up with a decision then.
Thank you
All
very
right, so
much.
You do need to go to the bank and see if they can give you something.
Yeah,
right.
I just don't know why, yeah, I don't know why they won't give me a
So, all in
straight
favor?
answer.
Aye.
All right, so one more time.
Thank you very much, I appreciate that,
All right.
thank you very much.
All right, next item on the agenda is our final settlements and mechanics. This is where we gotta get to this exoneration. All right, final settlements, we have 3 final settlements.
You have anything you wanna say, John?
No, go ahead. I'm sticking around to the end.
Okay.
Man.
Motion, do we have a motion on the floor to approve the 3 final settlements as presented?
Okay, yeah, I'll make a motion for approve the 3 final settlements as submitted.
Motion on the floor is to approve the 3 final settlements as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor? We have 2 budget revisions. We already approved the 1 state budget revision for the, did I give that to you? It's here. It's for the rollover. We have a state budget revision, and this is where, we met with our elected officials. Cause we had made a mistake in the 2024 budget where some of their salary was also included in with their employee salaries, which overinflated our budgets. And, to the tune of, roughly $390,000. So, we are decreasing that and increasing our contingency line. So, we have a motion on the floor to approve the state budget revision, which is a roll call vote. So, roll call on this one, Commissioner Kiesling, aye. Commissioner C.
Aye.
All right, so that one passes. Next, we have an in-house budget revision. Community correction supplies, community correction insurance and bonds. It's $540 to decrease supplies and increase our insurance bonds by $540. So do you have a motion to approve the in-house budget revision for $540 for the community corrections?
Yep, I'll make a motion to approve the in-house budget revision for community corrections in the amount of $550.
Motion on the floor is to approve the community corrections in-house budget revision, $540. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Now we have erroneous assessments.
I think she went to get Phyllis, but Phyllis just handed me a couple more.
I just wanted to say, I'm glad to see the backhoes working.
Oh, okay, I'll make it to them. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll go on distressed property, which are none. Fire fee adjustments?
There should be 2 or 3.
There's 3 fire fee adjustments. The motion on the floor is to approve the 3 fire fee adjustments. as submitted. All in favor? Aye. All right. So next is our erroneous assessments.
Catch Chris to have him sign that.
Oh, yeah, that's that one. That's the policy. Yes, Siler. Do we have a stamp for Siler?
Yes.
We can just stamp
Oh,
it.
Mhm.
We'll just stamp it. That way it's all done.
Phyllis said she would be over shortly.
Okay.
You got any distressed property?
There's no distressed. Nothing left is payment of the bills. So we'll do that and then we'll wait on her for the erroneous assessments. You're gonna need a lot of papers over there, Miss Brenda. We spent a lot of money.
Yep.
All right,
Anyway,